Hello and welcome back to another edition of the podcast. Joining me this week is Kieran. Kieran, how are you?
Yeah, good mate. Nice one.
It's alright, good stuff. Also joining us this evening is Paul Jones. Paul, how's it going?
Evening mate, how are you?
Fantastic mate, fantastic. All the better for seeing you again. 2 weeks in a row. Okay, so this week what we're going to talk about then, obviously we're going to talk about that ridiculous game of football on Saturday night, Liverpool against Leeds. We're going to talk all about that and what we thought of it, if we've got any concerns. We'll also look ahead to Chelsea. It's got a little bit tasty between Klopp and Frank Lampard in the media, not even in the week of the game, the week before the game. We're going to talk about that, and that's also going to be our hot topic of the week leading on from last week. But let's start with Leeds. Paul, obviously, it was a hell of a game of football. It was end to end, especially for the first half an hour. Can you enjoy a game of football like that as a Liverpool fan, or were you just thinking, what is going on?
I think it's a bit of both, I suppose. If you're a neutral, you can enjoy it. But obviously, as being a Liverpoolian, you just want to see your team win the game. So, you know, when you keep giving opposition chance after chance after chance to get back into it, I don't think I suppose the TV subscribers have well got the money's worth on Saturday night. But for us as supporters, we just want to see our team perform well and play well. And, well, we'll debate whether we did or not over the next half an hour or so.
Absolutely. Kieran, what did you make of the match then? Obviously, it was hectic from start to finish.
Yeah, it was just from the first minute. Yeah, it was just full on, fully intense. It was you've got to credit Leeds though. I mean, it'd be very, very easy for them just to come. I know the way they played last season, but first game of the season away to us, the champ, they had absolutely no intention of doing that, and it was just a great watch. It was end to end. Could have ended 7-7 in the end. But yeah, I mean, I know, in the start of the season, Jurgen said, he's going to attack this title and not defend it. Well, I think the back four took that quite literally. I mean, it was just some of the individual errors in the goals we conceded were just, dumbfounded by them. But I look back to last season, and at the end of the season, the signs were there, and yeah, and stuff. But at the end of the day, first game, first win, 3 points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that is the most important thing. 3 points are on the board. You said before the game, Kieran, last week, it'd be interesting to see whether Leeds will come with the usual tactics of what they did last season. They certainly did. It was just at times it was really hard for Liverpool to stop them, wasn't it?
Absolutely, mate. It was a pleasure to watch. Just to that was definitely the Bielsa way. I mean, the stat that I took from that game more than anything, and they had 52% of the ball. I can't remember the last time even City coming to Anfield and a team having more possession than us. It was incredible. Just not just the pressing, but the amount of men they committed forward in attack. But I think that may have helped us in the end because we did score 4. But absolute fair play to them, credit. And if they do that for the rest of the season, I mean, they should have no problems at all.
I think the only issue for Leeds will be whether they finish in the top 10 or not, playing like that. I can't see them going anywhere near the relegation zone. I think a lot of people around the country, not Liverpool fans, would have been laughing and joking about penalty pool again. Another penalty to start the game and one to end the game. But, we evolved from penalty pool to set piece pool, didn't we, Paul? There was a goal from a corner, goal from a free kick, 2 penalties. What do you take from that, Paul? Do you think that's a good thing, or are you a bit concerned that we haven't created anything from open play?
No, I think you've got to take your chances whichever way they come, and if that means that an opposition's weak spot is defending set pieces, then so be it. You pick up on it. So, penalty pool or whatever anybody wants to call it, that's fine. I look at it that if you're getting into the box as often as Liverpool do, and it's not just Liverpool, there are quite a few teams who go through and attack. If you're getting into the box that many times in a game, we're creating 25 chances per game-ish. You look at the shots we're having, it really is. It's 20 to 25 shots on goal every game. So if you're in and around the box that often, you're going to get penalties. You're going to have opposition who get tired legs, and when a game's been that intense and then you see a forward come on making his debut, and it was a centre forward tackle, let's say. These things happen, and Leeds will probably go on and learn from that. I do agree with both of you that I don't think there'll be injuries, and I think they'll shock a few teams higher up as well. They ran Liverpool pretty close, but yeah, for me, set pieces are a massive part of the game, and they always have been. And if you can take advantage of that by scoring from them or picking up on opposition weaknesses, then you've got to go and do it. We all want to score the perfect goal, the 50 passes before we square it and tap it into an empty net, but sometimes it's not like that, and you've got to work hard, you've got to dig deep, and you've got to find a way, and by using set pieces.
Well, not long ago, Liverpool never ever scored from set pieces. Certainly not corners, certainly not free kicks. Didn't get that many penalties. So I suppose that's a good thing. But I was just a bit concerned by, not scoring from open play. Are we overthinking things there? I know we've won the game. Are we overthinking things a little bit? Maybe, I don't know. Kieran, you mentioned individual errors. There was a few poor performances, I thought. Do you want to pick one and tell us why?
I'm not one as such. I'd say just the back, not maybe the back four, but yeah. Certainly said it's two centre backs, Gomez and Van Dijk. For me, the first two goals. First goal, good work down the left, and skips by Trent. I think Trent does okay, but then Gomez, when he comes across, just it makes it a lot easier for the lad to come across and put it in the corner. And then the second one, I mean, I know I alluded to it last season, Van Dijk, that mistake against Arsenal. I mean, I just don't know what he's thinking there. The one thing I would say, if that exact same mistake, if that had been Joe Gomez or Joel Matip, they'd be absolutely slaughtered.
Can you imagine if it was Dejan Lovren?
Oh, for Van Dijk to do that, I know he's bailed us out so many times, but like I say, if that had been someone else, we'd be all over his back. So for me, it was just unacceptable. Whether it's arrogance, whether it's I don't know, just a lack of concentration. Well, we just we can't let teams in as easy as that, because we're not going to score 4 every week.
Absolutely not, especially not against, I mean, no disrespect to Leeds, but especially not against the better teams in the league. Chelsea have a field day if we defend like that.
Absolutely.
The back four were a bit iffy, and I don't know whether that's because it's a weird time, isn't it? They've hardly played properly together. They haven't had a pre-season. Then they've been dragged out for international duty before the first week of the season. That's a whole other, kettle of fish to get into for another day. Paul, what did you make of Jorginho Wijnaldum in particular? Obviously, we spoke about him on the preview podcast, and we said, it'll be interesting to see whether he starts. He got the nod. I felt he was a little bit anonymous in the game. He didn't really get up to much. What did you make of his performance?
It's funny you say that, because before you come over to me, I was gonna mention 2 players, and the 2 players that I was going to mention are 2 that we spoke quite extensively about last week. And the first one was Joe Gomez. I know Kieran's just touched on it. I thought he switched off quite a bit on Saturday and wasn't at his best. And the only reason I wanted to mention it is because obviously we'd had the discussion around him and Matip and who we thought should partner Van Dijk.
I think I was the only one who said Gomez as well, wasn't I?
I mean, look, we all know Gomez is a really, really top defender. He had a day where he did switch off a couple of times. He was put under pressure a couple of times. And, like we've mentioned there, he was caught out for a couple of the goals. And then the second one I was going to mention was Wijnaldum, because I, like you, David, thought he was a little bit off it. I don't know if I'm going to cause controversy here, but it was as if his head was somewhere else. And whether he does go or not, I mean, I was quite happy to see him in the starting 11, because that gave me what I thought was an indication that he's going nowhere. And then I seen the performance, and I thought maybe, it's not so much of a guarantee that he is going to stay, because he just seemed to be, I don't know, it was as if his head was at least turned, not necessarily a decision finalised, but it looked to me as if his head was at least turned. And there was a few times where, he got in possession, and normally with Gini Wijnaldum, be quite confident that he'd hold a couple of players off and then find a red shirt. And he wasn't. He seemed to be sort of just going through the motions, and he gave the ball away quite a bit. And I don't know, it just seemed to me like he wasn't at Anfield on Saturday, put it that way.
It might be cynical, but, is he trying to force Klopp's hand? Is he trying to get himself out of the club if Klopp's trying to keep him and he wants to go to Barcelona? I don't know. It might be cynical. I certainly think he was, as you say, you can expect Wijnaldum to just retain possession in the midfield in really tight areas, recycle it, get Liverpool going in another way, gets forward. And he just didn't seem to have anything about him on Saturday night. It was a bit weird. The other weird thing, I don't know what you two made of this, but I mean, the game was still quite open. And Klopp brought Curtis Jones on. Was it for Wijnaldum or was it? No, it was Henderson, wasn't it? He brought him on for. Kieran, do you think it was a strange change? I just thought the game was crying out for James Milner at that point, and to throw Curtis Jones into the mix when it's not really his game to calm things down and settle everything. Do you think that was a bit of a weird substitution?
Yeah, as soon as I saw him, on the touchline, getting ready to come on, I was very surprised. Like you said, I think I'd have given Milner the nod ahead of him, just the experience, the Leeds factor and all that. And I think you saw that because I think as soon as he comes on, it's not too long after that, is Leeds' third goal. And for me, the third goal was, you have to blame the midfield because you see the ball, it goes out to the right, the ball comes in the box. And there's just a lot of ball watching. The midfield let the runners go, and can't remember who it was now. Was it Click? Come in and put the ball in. Yeah, put the ball into the corner for 3-3. And it's just exactly not what we need. I know Henderson, not had a lot of game time at all, so I couldn't fully understand him coming off. But like you say, I think James Milner would have been a much better choice than Curtis Jones. Don't want to do any disservice to the lad, but it's a results business at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and obviously in that situation, I understand Curtis Jones needs minutes. I understand that Jordan Henderson couldn't complete 90 minutes because he's been injured, and it was a bit of a surprise he was in the team in the first place. But I just didn't think it was the right moment. But we, as I say, we still got the win, so we shouldn't really be complaining. But Paul, I just want to ask you briefly about Roberto Firmino. Are we starting to get a little bit concerned about Firmino? I know he does a lot off the ball, but he seemed to have a game as well where he wasn't really. I think he had one moment in the game where he was at his best, where he sort of turns a man inside out and Liverpool break forward. But other than that, I mean, he didn't really contribute, did he?
I think with Firmino, it's one of them. He fits into our system absolutely superbly. He brings so many other players into the game by what he does and the work rate that he does. And what did worry me was he had a couple of really good chances. So he had one literally in the first minute or so where he went through and, a deadly centre forward would have just belted it, get it on target, make the keeper make a save. And if it goes in, it goes in. He tried to cut it back, and then there was one in the second half where he was played through, I think it was by Mane, and he was about 12 yards out at the Kop end, and he seemed to sort of get it stuck under his feet, and a little bit of a toe poke in the end, really, and it sort of, it gave the defender the chance to get back across, and the chance had gone. And for me, a deadly centre forward finishes those chances. But having said that, then a deadly centre forward is, in and around the box, and they don't do the work that you get from Firmino outside the box. So it's one of them where I suppose you've got to look at the whole, the whole package that comes with Firmino. And I suppose, for want of a better phrase, you can get away with it when, the two lads next year are scoring 20 and 25 goals a season. Where it becomes a problem is if that play doesn't result in 20 and 25 goals a season for two of your teammates and you're struggling on 10 and 15 goals, and then that's a problem because you need somebody else to chip in with that 15 to 20 goals as well. So I think he'll be fine. I really do. I think he fits the way we play perfectly. He's got the two runners off him. He brings the midfield into play, so I think he'll be okay. Let's not forget that it was the first game of the season. So if we were all guns blazing on Saturday, I think I'd probably be a little bit worried that we wouldn't last the season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And the first comment I made after the final whistle on Saturday was, look, it's just 1 down, 37 to go. You know, you can pick apart as much as you want, but the ultimate goal is to win, you know, as many games as possible. And we've won the first one, and there's 37 left.
Absolutely correct. I just on Fabinho, I just felt a little bit, you know, what was in my mind was he struggled last year for goals at home, and again he just seemed a little quiet and a little bit not at his best. And I don't know whether we should start being concerned about him going forward. But as you say, he does offer a lot to this team. I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting his quality. But I just feel like Saturday and last season, his lack of goals at home was a bit of a concern. I'll stay with you, Paul. We've seen a Leeds team there really push Liverpool, you know, close, and people across the country will argue that, you know, I've seen loads already. Liverpool are lucky, and, you know, Leeds should have won, or they at least got a point, blah, blah, blah. Have Leeds given other teams a blueprint on how to play Liverpool and potentially get a result?
I think every team's different, aren't they? And each manager and set of coaching staff will have their own idea of how to play. But for me, if it was me, I would look at Leeds and I would take elements from that. I would take elements from the attacking play, from how they set up and how they tried to exploit our fullbacks when they advanced up the pitch, and how they exploited that with a quick ball, you know, out wide into those areas that they were vacating. So, yeah, I think they'll certainly take elements from it. I think they won't so much take elements from the defensive side of things, you know, and that's where Leeds will look to strengthen over the course of the season and look to learn from. But yeah, I think they certainly will look at certain things. I think Frank Lampard will have his own ideas as well, and of what team he can use and what players and strengths that they've got, which they can sort of look to exploit Liverpool. But I think you'd be daft not to look at what Leeds have done and maybe take some part of it, especially the attacking side of it.
Yeah, obviously we're not going to see managers like Mourinho and people like that who like to sit back. They're never going to adopt Leeds' tactics. But I think teams like Brighton maybe could take a lot from Leeds. You mentioned Frank Lampard there, Paul. So that brings us nicely on to Chelsea. Chelsea's up next, Kieran. Chelsea, obviously a lot of signings this summer, and we're going to come to that a little bit later in the show. They didn't exactly set the world alight against Brighton, though, did they, despite winning?
No. I watched the game last night. Again, it's only the first day of the season. They've made loads of signings. Well, Havertz and Werner were in from the start, but so I think naturally they will need time to gel. I didn't think they had to be superb last night. They basically had to just do enough to get the win. Played okay. Another mistake from Kepa, which I hope we can capitalise on at the weekend. But then they went back in front straight away with a lovely strike from Reece James.
What mistake are you talking about? Is that the goal?
Yeah, the Brighton goal. For me, I thought Kepa could have done a lot better there.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I thought that was a decent effort, and I don't know, it was a good goal. Let's put one.
Yeah, it was in the corner
from the team. And I don't know. It was a good effort. You know, it was in the corner. I don't know. I think it's harsh calling it a mistake.
I mean, I wouldn't get near it. So, but yeah,
neither would I, mate.
But it just looked like he seemed to maybe dive over. I don't know.
Possibly.
But,
I just thought it was a good strike. It was in the vicinity of the bottom corner, and I don't know. You could argue Kepa's not really alert, and he takes a bit longer than he should. Maybe just a couple of split seconds than he should to get across. But I don't know. I thought he. Okay, maybe he should have saved it, but I don't know. I just think I don't think it was a mistake as such.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah. Apart from that, I thought. Obviously the lad we were linked with all summer, Timo Werner. I thought he did actually look quite sharp. Certainly the penalty he won, the ball obviously intercepting the midfield. He goes through, and it starts off looking like the keeper might get there first, but he put the afterburners on and got there first and won the penalty. So I would be a bit concerned there if he's in that sort of form, with certainly the high line and the sort of the line we had in the back four as well, because we alluded to it before, Joe Gomez was playing. It just seemed to be at times 5 yards deeper than the rest of them. So if he's playing that and Werner's on the last shoulder, I'm going to naturally be very worried.
I think, obviously, I think Brighton were having the better of the game at that point, and they were just slightly on top, and it's a daft mistake from the centre midfielder. So I'd like to think that Liverpool won't. I'd like to think Van Dijk wouldn't do what he done on Saturday, but I'd like to think that that's probably not going to happen because Carragher spoke about it after the game on the telly, and he even said like there was hardly any pressure on him. He had plenty of time around him. He had 5 or 6 yards all around him. So it wasn't like he was under immense pressure to. So at that stage, that's more Brighton's fault than it is Chelsea's excellence, if you like. Some great goals in that game, though. I mean, that Reece James finish was fantastic, wasn't it? Paul, what are your concerns, or what are the keys to this game on Sunday?
I think Chelsea will be well up for it, won't be? Lampard's trying to, in my opinion, he's trying to generate a bit of a rivalry between himself and Klopp. Picking up on every comment that anybody makes, and we've seen the little spat he had with him at Anfield at the back end of last season. So I think they'll be well up for it. It'll be like a little bit of a cup final for them. Obviously, we've mentioned there Timo Werner, who was for all intents and purposes on his way to Anfield, and then it changed and he wasn't, and he's gone to Stamford Bridge. So I think he'll be up for it. He's going to want to show Liverpool what they're missing out on. I think, in a sense, they remind me of Leeds in the fact that they are going to be blistering and very good going forward, but also suspect at the back. So, they have bought well over the summer, in my opinion. They spent a lot of money, but the goalkeeper is not, for me, the deserving of the most expensive goalkeeper in the world. They've got a back four, which for me is suspect and can be got at. I know Reece James is coming in, and he's a young lad who's improving time after time and week after week. But for me, he's still somebody who you can get at. And then it doesn't look as if maybe Thiago Silva's going to play. I'm not too fussed if he does either way, because I think he's probably been living life on easy street in Paris where nobody attacks it. And it doesn't look like Chilwell will be playing at left back either. So that'll leave Marcus Alonso, again, who's suspect. So I think it could turn into a basketball match pretty much similar to what it did at the end of the season last year. Where it was go on, then you attack and we'll have a go, and then we'll attack and you can have a defend, and it's going to be a very, very tough game. I'm a little bit worried about the high line. We did play it in the game against Chelsea last time. We played it again on Saturday, and when these teams are looking to go forward like Leeds and like Chelsea will, I do think we are a bit susceptible to the long ball over the top or into the corners, which will create us problems. So I would hope that we would drop maybe 5 or 10 yards deeper and be a little bit more conservative, but I don't think we will. I think we'll keep to what we're doing. We'll keep the high line, and as I say, it could be one of them that could end up 3-3, 4-3 again. Just
like Saturday, and that's don't know whether I can go through that again, to be honest. I think it's imperative Liverpool are either at their very best with the high line or drop, because, as you say, Timo Werner up front, he is just rapid, and if he gets in behind, he's gone. You're not getting close to him. So I don't know. I mean, Klopp doesn't strike me as a managerial change for one player. I think he will stick to his guns, and he'll want his team to do what they always do. And to be fair, they are good at it. I know we used to speak, Paul, back when we really noticed the high line, and especially from free kicks, high lines, and we used to say, "Oh, I can't be doing with this," but it works. It does work. It's been proven that it works. It's risky. It's not great to watch, but it works. So, as I say, I just hope that they're at the best and there's no mistakes
I think the introduction, just to the introduction of VAR probably helps that as well. I know we don't,
Definitely.
I don't particularly like it, but what it does, it takes that human error out the way. So although it might look like they're going through on goal, actually quite a few times that they are going through on goal, the flag's up late because they're told to hold it. And VAR can obviously help us with that and make sure that if we are getting it spot on, that it's picking up these lads who are running too early anyway.
Yeah, that for me has been a massive plus point for Liverpool. Definitely, Paul, the VAR. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times we've had tight decisions where it's gone to VAR, but it must have, because as you say, it removes any doubt. So that's definitely been a plus point. Kieran, what are you expecting? Are you expecting the same again from Chelsea? Are you expecting Liverpool to change anything? What are your thoughts on this one?
No, I wouldn't expect either to change him. I'd expect a similar game to the end of last season, really. We should go there with confidence. Though. Look at Klopp's record. He's got an all right record at Stamford Bridge in the league, anyway. He's won 3 out of his 6 games there, and but it's second game of the season, but it's already a massive one. Because obviously you're playing one of last season's top 4 away from home. You look at this through the course of a season. If it does get tight, these are the games that make or break seasons. So I don't think he'll change too much. I think, like Paul said, but yeah, I think could be another goal fest. It's going to be fascinating to watch anyway.
It is going to be a fascinating watch, to be fair. I feel like this game's always R4 on a Sunday. I don't know why, because I know it's not, but it just feels like Chelsea Liverpool is written R4 of a Sunday every season. At Stamford Bridge, anyway. Right, well, we'll finish off with our hot topic. We had a hot topic last week, and we spoke about, or Paul spoke very passionately with Grace about the no fans in the stadium. This week, I want to talk about Klopp and Lampard. So Jurgen Klopp had a little dig, if you like, at Frank Lampard by, he was getting questioned about transfer policy, and he kind of said that Liverpool can't spend like Chelsea. Lampard had a little dig back, and this is before the game week, by the way. The two teams had their own respective games to play last week. So Klopp's had a go at Lampard about transfer spend, but Liverpool's squad that went out against Leeds cost over £350 million. So, Kieran, I'll stay with you. Klopp had a bit of a stinker here by bringing up transfer amounts.
A little bit. I mean, I can sort of see it from both ways. Obviously, if any club's going to spend over 200 million in just one, I think that's the point. It's just one transfer market. I mean, whether they've had the money or not, obviously they've had a transfer embargo. They've kept money from the sales of Hazard, Morata, I think. So I think they have had that money. It's just, you look in the space of one window, spending 250 million, maybe more, with the window shutting at the end of the month. But then you do look at the other side of the arguments. I mean, as you say, the team spending costing 350 million against Leeds. But you do need to buy players of that caliber, like Van Dijk and Alisson, to come in. They made an instant impact. But I think it's the fact we've spent, like, you go back, the oldest player of that team probably was Henderson, who we bought in 2011. So if you add his price, it's not so much to me anyway, how much they've cost. It's over what period of time. Because I think to win leagues, you have to spend money. But if you do it as Klopp does over 5 or 6 years, it just seems to be, I don't know, a little better than, spending it over one window. But I suppose whenever you do it, it doesn't really matter. You've got to get the players in.
Well, just on that, I mean, here is the starting lineup from Saturday. So you've got Alisson, 67 million. Trent, academy. So, the cost of bringing through an academy player, which some clubs reckon is about £5 million. Joe Gomez, 6 million. You've got Virgil van Dijk, obviously 75 million. Andy Robertson, 8 million. Bargain. Every time I see that, I just think, how is that possible? Naby Keita, 57 million. Jordan Henderson, 20 million. Wijnaldum, 25. Mo Salah, 39. Roberto Firmino, 29. Sadio Mane, 30 million. What do you reckon, Paul? I mean, obviously it's a lot of money, but as Kieran says, it's over a few windows, isn't it? So what do you reckon?
Yeah, I just think Klopp is using it to talk to the who they just want instant success. They want to go out and spend, don't care what it costs, and and they just want to buy the names and who everybody's talking about on social media and all the rest of it. I think for me, there's a bigger picture. You look at Liverpool and Chelsea, and we're two completely different business models. Liverpool have been obviously bought out by FSG about 10 years ago now, and we're used to a business model that isn't going to put the club at risk. It's looking to a sustainable future, to purchase players with money that we've brought in from the sales of other players, and financing it through sort of payments throughout 5-6 years of a contract and things like that, and that's worked well so far. You look at the last 2 years. Well, if you go back as far as sort of 3 years, you've sort of improved year on year, and you've won a European Cup and finished runners up, and then you've gone on and won the title. So the difference is with Chelsea, as Kieran's touched on there, they haven't had the last 3 or 4 windows to buy. They have had finances from Hazard and things which they can use. So, but again, one of the different when Abramovich pull out of Chelsea, that he can call in his interest-free loans at any point. If FSG walk away tomorrow, Liverpool haven't got many loans outstanding. I think we've only got the loans for the main stand, which we're paying off each year. So, for me, what would I prefer? I prefer a sustainable business model where I know that if my owners walk away tomorrow, my club's still going to be there. You'd only have to look down the road at Wigan Athletic, or, a little bit further to the likes of Bury and Macclesfield, and look at the struggles. Whereas Chelsea obviously don't see it that way, that they are, a plaything for a serial multi-millionaire, billionaire, that if he gets bored and wants to pull it out, then Chelsea are in trouble. So for me, we're doing okay on the pitch with what we've got. I think that's got to go down to the likes of Klopp and his coaching staff, but also the likes of Michael Edwards, who go out and get deals done. So I would prefer to go the way we're going, rather than look at a Chelsea model and where we can just spend, but put the future of the club at risk.
It's nice though, isn't it? It'd be nice being a Chelsea fan.
No, I wouldn't want to be.
I don't know about that.
No, I wouldn't want to be a Chelsea fan. Not
Specifically Chelsea, but having a club where they just go out and buy the big names, and I think
Liverpool Football Club's different than that. And
it is.
We're built on sort of solid foundations. We're built on socialist principles, and I don't think that we're a club that would go out and easily just flash £200 million unless somebody gave us £200 million for example, Mo Salah. Then that that we probably would go out and spend it. I don't think the money's there to be able to do that, and I don't think as a club we would do that anyway if that option came along.
Yeah, no, I know we wouldn't, and I do totally get your point of sustainable model, and what people don't understand about FSG, I think a lot of people, is they see that there's no money being spent transfer wise, but they don't understand that money always goes back into the club. Obviously, they'll take cuts, which they're not going to run it for free, but the money is recycled back into the club via the academy, Kirby, the main stand, planning for a new stand in the Anfield Road end, contracts. So it does go back into the club. I quite like this, the fact that Klopp hasn't said this to have a dig personally at Lampard or Guardiola, to be fair, because, he did say Chelsea and City, I think. But the fact that Lampard's had a little nibble back at it, I think Klopp will be smiling. Especially with playing them next, I think he'll just think, I've got the better of you, and I haven't even tried. I think the mind games, I think Paul is going to be great, isn't it?
And I think Lampard's own arrogance has allowed him to bite at it. But I do agree with you. I think there's a lot of mind games involved in that comment.
And I think it harps back to last season with the whole instance on the bench, and I don't think we can repeat what was said, but Pep Linders ends up running on the pitch and celebrating in front of Lampard, and all the Liverpool players are laughing at him and all that. So I think it harps back a little bit, Kieran. Did you have a little smile when you seen Lampard had a little dig back at Klopp?
Yeah, just a little bit. But I think, it's just all words, isn't it? I mean, a bit of friendly banter. I'll be more interested to see his face when we come away from Stamford Bridge with all 3 points on Sunday.
Well, we can certainly hope for that.
Yeah, well, hope anyway, yeah.
That's the podcast this week. We'll be back next week to talk about who we got after this. Can't even remember.
Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal
So the big games keep coming thick and fast. So we'll be talking about the Chelsea game and we'll be looking ahead to Arsenal. But that's next week. So thank you very much for your time, Paul. Much appreciated as ever.
Thank you, as always.
And to you as well, Kieran. Much appreciated.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, nice one.
And we'll catch you all next week. Thank you very much.